Welcome to the Friday the 13th episode of the Patient Attraction Podcast. Now, if you're like other dentists, you've been asked to lower your fees for the services that you offer. If you've reduced the cost of your services or you've been tempted to, take this word of warning to the heart. It's almost always a bad idea to negotiate your fees. I'll tell you why you should resist the lure of discounting in this classic Patient Attraction Podcast. And I'm also going to give you some advice on things that you can negotiate to keep your patients coming back. Enjoy, and join me tomorrow for the next podcast. Hey, Colin Receiver here, and welcome to another week of the Patient Attraction Podcast. Today, we're going to look at how to answer when a patient says, "Can you give me a better price than that?" Stay tuned. Today's Monday, October 27th, and I want to discuss what happens, what you should do when somebody asks you to lower your fees. Now, there's a lot of levels to this question, so I want to jump right in. And first, let's talk about the practical matter at hand. How much profit, how much margin have you built into your fees? Obviously, you have to cover your overhead costs, material, staff, hourly to keep the practice running, but then comes the somewhat negotiable part. How much do you pay yourself? How flexible you are with your fee depends in part of how you set your fee in the first place. If your fees are already bare minimum, then you likely have very little room to negotiate or move. If you have a healthy profit margin and your schedule's full, you may or may not want to negotiate. But then comes the more abstract part of negotiation, such as what is your time worth? What is the service worth? What is the value of the service to your customer? The reason these are more abstract is because they are subjective and they're, frankly influenced by many factors. But I'll tell you this, I'm not a big fan of price negotiation. I believe if you've set a fair price and you've provided a ton of value for the service you provide, stick with it. You have financial obligations and plans, both of which can be derailed if you start discounting your fees. And the other thing to consider is that the race to the bottom for the cheapest fee is a very slippery slope. You're never going to compete with the fees of the corporate and commercial dental outlets. They have the power of economics and volume on their side. And if somebody wants cheap, there's always an outlet that's going to do it cheaper than you. Now, what I am in favor of negotiating is negotiating terms. For instance, you can work with people on payment plans. You can work with them different solutions to meet their needs, spacing it out over a period of time to help them. Or maybe they're not ready to pay for that all-on-4 yet, but you can throw a few locators in that existing denture, pop a few implants in their mouth, and now they've got an implant-supported denture that's 20 times better than that old denture that didn't fit. And negotiating different items or showing them different options that they have that might fit better within their budget is a win-win situation for both of you. They need to understand that you're offering them top service, high quality, and the best price you can, the best value that you can offer. Come back tomorrow and we'll talk about pay-per-click advertising. Until then, keep moving forward.